and break from that whole abusive
cycle.
Pattern.
Yes.
Break away from it.
So do you feel the father sometimes tends to manipulate her into thinking something different and making something wrong into a right?
No, he just doesn't want to take responsibility for what he's done. He won't accept, I as a mother accept my responsibilities, I accept my thoughts, I accept that I've made mistakes, and I take credit for my mistakes. But her father does not. He's always right and everyone else is wrong, and, the world revolves around him, and this is how it is, and this is the way it's going to be, and I feel like she's just afraid to just break away from that whole control issue.
Yes. And how does she take pain? How does she react to pain in her life?
Excuse me?
How does she react to the pain? How does she react to the abuse that she gets from her relationship? The abuse and the control and the crappy boyfriend, she just keeps going back and going back and going back, and it's just she's had every boyfriend she's had since high school.
But is it driving her to do like immoral things? Does it drive her to drink or drugs or anything like that?
Yes, Q. Yes, drugs, alcohol, you name it. She'll pick anything up and try it. Her father gave her the first dope she ever had.
Wow.
Take that one to lunch. Yeah.
Wow. So she's able to be easily influenced by the people she goes out with. What do you think, as a mother, you can do to help her stay away or help her be more involved in her life, where you're in the bigger picture, you're with her more than her relationship or more than the guys that she's with? Is there a way that you can be involved in her life more than you already are?
She lives in another state, and I had her home for a while, and what does her controlling father do? Decides to come home back to Arkansas after years of being gone. Actually, I chased him out of Arkansas, but that's a different subject. She came back home, but she always ends up going back down there. She always ends up going back down there to where he is. Well, this time, he came to Arkansas and got her. Actually didn't get her, but he came back to Arkansas for his own little reasons and then decided to go back. And then she just did me really dirty and left and went back. That's what she always does. She leaves and she always goes back down there. She's always chose, and I don't mean to sound like a bitter mother, but she's always chosen him over me. And I don't know if it comes from the fact that he was an absent father for several years, for reasons I won't even get into that would string the whole entire show out. But her, it's just her trying to break away from that whole abuse. Her own father has hit her. He's beat the shit out of her 3 times.
Okay, let me jump in here for a second, Amy, and I appreciate all of that. And now, Sweta, you've written books, what you call watch out books. Is there something maybe that Amy could benefit from, or maybe her daughter can benefit from as far as your books are concerned? Tell me about the watch out books and how people could use these in order to deal with situations like Amy's?
I think Amy could really benefit from my book, Walk Out Ladies, because in that book I do talk about self-respect. I do talk about your worth. I do talk about the do's and don'ts of dating, and I help women see their worth through that book. And I've seen many young women just go through abusive fathers, go through abusive boyfriends, and they flip the switch. Once they've read this book, they flipped the switch and said, I'm not going to be in that situation anymore. I want a healthy relationship. They no longer find that pain to be fulfilling anymore, and it never was fulfilling. It has always left them empty. So this book helps them see that emptiness and fulfills them with ideas, fulfills them with what should be going after to fulfill their heart versus being left empty.
Okay. And now in the chat room, Crystal said that she first has to realize that she has a life to save. And is that true in your opinion? Is that the most important thing? You have to, like you said earlier, you have to realize your worth, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Your worth, and you have to have self-respect. I mean, you can't put yourself in situations where you're being treated poorly or you're in this love addiction where you keep going back to that person and keep finding this pain to be fulfilling when it's not.
Okay, you use the term love addiction. What exactly is that?
Love addiction. So say there's somebody that is abusing you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And you keep going back to that person because you keep finding some sort of happiness. You think that this person will eventually love you, and you keep loving them even when they abuse you in ways that you don't deserve. And you can't realize that until you wake up and say, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. But you're addicted to that love. You're addicted to that pain, and you can't get away.
Okay. All right. 347-202-0215 is the number on the Talk to Q radio show. On the line with author and keynote speaker Sweta Patel. We're ready to wrap things up. And now, society has changed a lot. Okay, now I'm 41 years old, so the way I was raised is going to be different than the way other people may have been raised. But we discuss on this show all the time about how, I guess, the feminine movement kind of changed a lot of things. What's your take on feminism and how it's contributed to the society dynamics today, as you may have put it, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Well, there's definitely a good, a bad, and ugly to any movement in our society. I mean, the good was definitely the first and second wave of feminism when women got their voting rights, their driving rights, education rights. But then the third wave of feminism was when women were equal to men. And that really creates a controversy because some people, that women cannot be equal to men. Men and women are two different beings. They have two different capabilities. Men have stronger qualities, women have stronger qualities and other things. I mean, they complement each other in a great way. But nowadays, I'm seeing relationships where women are trying to dominate the men, and the men feel kind of intimidated by that. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be a team type of deal where they're helping each other out to become better and serve each other.
Okay, so it's not a matter of one being in charge of the other. It's just working together in order to kind of, work together towards a common goal more so than have one dominate the other is what you're saying.
Exactly, and now, we have these cliches like think like a man and act like a lady, where women are trying to lose their identity as women and act like men because they feel like that's how they need to act to get men. But men don't want another man, so it's kind of like they're losing their own identity to impress men when that's not what men really want.
Okay. Okay, Ray, do you have a comment on that?
Well, I mean, with the whole feminist movement thing, I think that a lot of things have just been too far, and I think that certain people with certain agendas get other women involved in it, and it's bigger than what they get them involved in. You know, a woman is never going to be a man no matter what she tries to do. You know, they'll fight for rights and everything. Yeah, should women be able to vote and do certain things? Of course they should. But to try and get more rights than the average American has, that's what I have a problem with the feminist movement. Anytime a woman is involved with anything, they just take it to the far extreme. And I think that ends up hurting their cause. Let's just like say, for instance, Brittany Griner tries to come to the NBA, which is be ridiculous because she can't compete. But you're going to have the feminist movement and everybody standing there and make sure nothing goes wrong in the locker room. And if she gets knocked down, then we're going to say she's not being treated fairly. And, you know, a whole lot of bullshit for their own agenda. When we know in the first place that there are separate situations like women's sports and men's sports because they can't compete with men. Now, when you talk about being a lawyer or a talk show host or something like that, of course, women can do whatever a man can do, or being a judge. Judge Judy is probably one of the best. But when we talk about physical working, they're just not capable of doing the job. And a lot of times, you know, they want equal money and equal pay and stuff like that when they're not equal when it comes to the working situation. And I think that that's wrong. And when somebody stands up and speaks on that, they consider to be anti-this and anti-that when you're just giving your opinion. And, I mean, it's obvious what the situation is. You know, I just think that, you know, when you have women that want rights, you have to want rights that are equal for everybody. Women want rights when it comes to children. You know more of a parent than a man is. But you want rights that you wouldn't want if the shoe were on the other foot. You wouldn't want that being done to you. And I just think that with the feminist movement, they need to think about the things that they're asking for. Is it fair to everybody? And I say no.
Okay.
I have a comment to make to what you just said. There's this book I've read. It's called Why Men Earn More. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, men are capable of doing things like, for example, construction work. Even in the military, who's usually fighting? Is it the men or the women? I always see on the sidelines, men are doing most of the work with the weapons. You know, and things like that where men do have stronger, more durable bodies to do certain things than women do. But yet that whole equal pay thing goes back to that book, Why Men Earn More. It's a great book. I definitely recommend it to anybody who is conflicting with the men and women wages.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, like Ray said, you have some people who are extremists. They take things too far, and it tends to make things difficult when it probably doesn't have to be. But speaking of books yourself, where can people find your books, and can you give those titles again?
My books are called Watch Out Ladies. The second one is called Watch Out Brides, for women who are looking to become brides and find the right man. Third one's called Watch Out Dads, for the father-daughter relationship. And you can find these books at SwetaSpeaks.com. Just click on my store, and they're all there.
Okay, now the Watch Out Brides, what exactly is it teaching someone how to be a better spouse, or what exactly is it doing?
It's actually preparing women who are wanting to be brides, who do want to get married. I mean, the Watch Out Ladies is just for young women in relationships and dating, and it's more of a guidance book, where Watch Out Brides is, hey, I'm looking to get married, I want to have a family, what do I need to know? And so it's a self-help book for young women who are looking to get married.
Okay. Okay. Now, I do plan on getting